You heard the little lady. Welcome to Something to Talk About. It is Tuesday, and I'm going to do one of those What's the Differences? Let's talk about the difference. And this is a request from my wife. That's it. It's the first time she's ever requested. She's like, you covered Jaqen H'ghar yet? I'm like, no. And she's like, you should. I'm like, I get to write my wife as my request. Pretty big moment for me. All right. If you guys don't know what's going on here, my name is Taco. I do these in one big long take, and I'm going to discuss a character from the Game of Thrones show and the A Song of Ice and Fire books. And I'm going to say what the difference is. And for this one, cover a couple theories because you can't really talk about Jaqen H'ghar without bringing up some of the theories and give some recommendations. And also, before we start, spoilers for the Game of Thrones show. Anything in and around Jaqen H'ghar, he actually makes it pretty far in the show, so we'll be spoilering a lot. And also for the Game of Thrones books. So, yeah, if you don't want any spoilers, get out of here. But if you don't care, let's go, man, because this is a big show. I got my coffee because we're discussing Jaqen H'ghar. Let's talk about the difference. All right, that was unprofessional. All right, let's go. First, we're going to discuss the Faceless Men because then he doesn't have a house, of course, for me to cover. So I'm going to cover what the Faceless Men are. And then I got 3 slides for his show stuff. It's about as much slides for shows as I want to do. I even glossed over a lot. It was still 3 slides. And then I'm going to cover his book appearance. And like I said, the differences and also some theories. So Faceless Men. The Faceless Men are a religious society of assassins who worship the many-faced god, the combination of all gods of death, essentially, right? They are based in the House of Black and White in the free city of Braavos, though they claim to have originated in the Valyrian freehold. The founder of the Faceless Men came to believe that all of the diverse slave population of Valyria prayed for deliverance to the same god, just in different incarnations, right? So this dude is hanging out with all these slave labor, essentially, in the mines of Valyria, and they're all praying for death because there's no way out. A little bleak, right? And all he realizes is that they're just praying to death. It's who cares what the name is, right? They're, this one and this god, or this pantheon, this one and this pantheon, this one and this culture, so on and so forth. And he's like, they're all the same, right? It's just death. So that's kind of the creation of the many-faced god. So yeah, where was I? Just in different incarnation. Thus, in Korhor, the many-faced god is called the Black Goat. In Yi the Lion of Night. And in the Faith of the Seven, the Stranger. And in the Old Gods, just the Old Gods. I'm adding that one in. This belief is a single god of many incarnations or faces came to reflect the guild's temple, the House of Black and White, which contains a public shrine with 30 idols of death gods from across Essos and Westeros. That's pretty cool. The phrase associated with the cult of the many-faced god is Valamogulis, which is High Valyrian for all men must die, and the traditional response to that is Valor Daharis, which is all men must serve. So serving in death, yay! I mean, that's the life of anyone who's part of the working class. Serving in death. Fun. Welcome to the world. All right. Let's just talk about the show now. We got Jaqen. Spoilers! I put that in there in case I forgot, but this time I didn't forget. In the television adaptation of Game of Thrones, Jaqen is portrayed mainly by... I need to start practicing these before I go. Tom Washala? Washala. All right, sure. And a variety of additional actors when he is wearing different faces, including Patrick O'Kane, Cedric Henderson, and Faye Morsay. Jaqen H'ghar is the alias assumed by one of the many-faced gods. Yeah, Jaqen is a criminal, so let's actually get into when we meet him in the show. From the Free Cities, arrested by the City Watch and thrown into the Black Cells. When looking for recruits for a Night's Watch, Yoren is given permission by Ned Stark to go through the dungeons and take anyone. He chooses H'ghar, Biter, and Rorge as a potential candidates And they do some Arya plot stuff. This is what I'm trying to gloss over it. They do some Arya plot stuff, right, for a bit until they are freed, and then they do some Harrenhal stuff, like killing the Tickler and Amory Lord and stuff like that. Yeah, he kills. Those are like the names that Arya names in the show is Tickler and Amory Lord. I know it's a difference. We'll get to it when he lives. When he lives, he give. When he leaves, there we go. He gives a coin and a secret password, and then leaves doing a cool face change thing. Right? He like looks away from the camera. And then turns back and he's got a different face. If I did that right now, when you just freaked out, if I like look back and I was like, Michael talks about stuff out of nowhere, you would have freaked out. You would have had to click like for that. I'll do that later. I don't have it in me right now. All right. Let's keep on cruising. So the House of Black and White stuff. Skip to season 5 in Braavos after being dropped off at the House of Black and White. Arya Stark calls to the door of an ancient building, and an old man answers the call, and she asks for Jaqen H'ghar, only to be told that there is no one by that name inside. Later, when she comes back, the old man turns into Jaqen H'ghar himself, though, right? He just turns right into Jaqen H'ghar. He insists that he is not Jaqen H'ghar, but no one, as all faceless men are. And he tells Arya that she must learn how to be no one as well. He gives her some tests and shows her the Hall of Faces and asks her to poison a clam cellar, but she doesn't. And then after killing Meryn Trant, Jaqen H'ghar, Jaqen H'ghar and the waif say that Meryn's life was not hers to take, and that a debt must be paid. The waif grabs Arya as Jaqen pulls out a vial, presumably containing some kind of poison. He, however, drinks the poison himself. Ooh, a swerve. And then collapses. Arya states that he was her friend, and then hears Jaqen's voice behind her, because now it's the waif, right? It says, he was no one. She turns around and sees that the waif is now Jaqen, and Arya asks who the person on the floor was, and Jaqen in the waif's body says that he is no one, as Arya begins to remove multiple faces off the person on the floor until she goes blind. Until she sees her own face and goes blind. Yeah, it's like some weird trippy season 5 stuff. Like, she's talking to Jaqen, and then Jaqen poisons himself and falls, and then Jaqen, like, waif turns to Jaqen behind her, and then she's like, well, what about that Jaqen? And then Jaqen's like, oh, that's not even a Jaqen. And then she pulls all the different faces, and then it's her, and then she goes blind. Yeah, woo, some fun stuff. God, I wish there was something else in this coffee. I'm kidding. Drink responsibly. All right, blind girl. Now in season 6, woo. She is blind for a bit, and then he lets her come back in. When she says no one, or whatever, she does not, or she does some blind fighting, then drinks poison fountain, and then she can see again. Wow, all right. Jaqen gives Arya a task of assassinating Lady Crane, an actress in the troupe. When Arya prevents the assassination from occurring, Jaqen gives the waif permission to hunt her down. At the House of Black and White, Jaqen notices blood on the ground. Yeah, I'm skipping over the whole Arya versus waif fight. He follows the trail to the House of Faces, where he stops at the new face on the wall is just the waif. So she just skins the waif. I want everyone to know that. Arya sneaks up behind him and points needle at him, but he does not resist, and he even walks into the sword's point. Though she rejects the beliefs of the many faces and reclaims her identity, Jaqen is pleased with her conduct by fully deeming her no one. So after she's like, I'm no longer no one, and he's like, you're no one now, and then allows her to leave. Yeah, I'm not going to talk about how much I dislike season 6 and even some of season 5, most of season 5. But that's not what I do here. I'm telling you guys the differences. I'm not going to just tell you how much I dislike later show, which I'm sure everybody knows I do. All right. Now let's get to, so that's how it ends in the show, right? So let's cover Jaqen H'ghar in the book. Right? Jaqen H'ghar. Jaqen is a slender, handsome man with fine features. His shiny, long, straight hair streaming down across his shoulders, colored white on one side and red on the other. That's pretty cool. He speaks in the traditional manner of the Lorath, omitting names and avoiding first and second grammatical persons. Calm and casual, Jaqen is polite and always smiles. His friendly voice can resemble silk and steel. Okay. What does that mean? Like that voice is silky and steely? All right. Arya Stark thinks that the intimidating Rorge might be scared of Jaqen. Yeah, it's kind of the whole thing of like Jaqen's in a cage, Rorge and Biter, and they're clearly monsters, right? Biter's like giant and has filed teeth and Jaqen's like, you know, really terrifying, no nose, very mean, right? And they like listen when Jaqen's like, guys, shut up. They're like, okay. And it's like, okay, why is this like handsome dude the scary one to the scary folk? And it's like a cool thing there. Jaqen's prisoner's garb is ragged and filthy. He possesses a thin knife and a cloak, and he is a skilled swordsman. Jaqen claims he was once of the free city of Lorath, and that his sire is long dead. All right, so let's get into book stuff. I almost said show stuff. Book stuff. Locked in a box. At the Red Keep in King's Landing, Yoren pleads for volunteers, so this is similar, to join the Night's Watch. No knights except the Wandering Crows offer. However, Lord Eddard Stark, the Hand of the King, gives Yoren his pick of the King's dungeons. Jaqen is one of the 3 men Yoren takes from the Black Cells, the others being Rorge and Biter. When Yoren's party departs King's Landing for the Wall, he keeps them fettered in a wagon. Despite the situation, Jaqen is polite to Arya, who is disguised as a boy named Arya. The group recruits decide to spend a night at a holdfast that is in a deserted town up by the southern shore of the God's Eye. The town is burned down. I'm kind of skipping over a lot that night in men under the command of Sir Amory Lorch. By men under the command of Sir Amory Lorch. So Lannister men. Arya rushes into a burning building to save a bunch of people. There's people in there. Again, this is like a really complex, and I'm covering it a lot more than I originally planned, but I do kind of have to go through it. But the whole scene of them in the burning holdfast and burning barn is a lot. And I'm just trying to cover it to give it context, but at the same time tell you guys what's going on with Jaqen and Rorge and Biter in the cage. I did cover Rorge and Biter, What's the Difference, if you're interested. I don't know why you'd be interested, because those characters are awful, but yeah, if you're interested, I did make that video. So she rushes into the burning barn. The barn feels like a furnace. The back wall is blazing and the animals are kicking and screaming. Inside their wagon, Rorge and Biter struggle frantically to free while Jaqen calls out for Arya in his friendly voice. Yeah, he's calm. The fire. A trapdoor to escape is only a few feet ahead, and the fire is spreading, which reminds Arya of the Hound's burned face. I felt like keeping that in there. It's kind of cool. Gendry wonders how to get the little girl through the narrow tunnel. Arya feels him push her and ask, sorry, where was I? Feels him push her and asks where he left the axe. Like, hey, where's an axe? I need the axe. Eyeing the prisoners. Gendry says that it's outside near the dock, but he would save the animals first. Arya tells him to go ahead with a different little girl, right? And she goes and gets the axe. Outside, the axe is where Gendry left it. As she wrenches it loose, a mailed hand grabs her, and she's spinning. She drives the axe up between the man's legs. Ouch! Youch! Then it dashes back into the barn. The smoke is so thick that she cannot see the wagon, so she crawls forward. Biter screams, toward Biter's screams. Thank you. Finding the wagon, she throws the axe in and runs for the tunnel. Rourge catches it and uses it to chop through the wagon, allowing the 3 prisoners to escape the fire. Arya hears the wagon splinter just before she rolls out into the tunnel. So Arya, I said all that to tell you, there was a fire. She easily could have let these 3 people burn, and she doesn't. She saves them. Yeah. 3 names. Rourge, Biter, and Jaqen join Amory Lorch's raiding party. And Arya, now disguised as a servant girl named Weasel, observes their arrival at Harrenhal. Jaqen interrupts Arya sleeping one night, saying, so he comes to her in the night, a boy becomes a girl. When she says that she was always a girl, and that she didn't think he saw her when she came in, he says, a man sees, a man knows. As I think what he's trying to say is like, yeah, I always knew you were a girl, but, I was playing along too. Jaqen insists that since Arya had helped the 3 of them escape death by the burning of the God's Eye, the Red God has his due. So this is what he says. He says, the Red God has his due, sweet girl, and only death may pay for life. This girl took 3 that were his. The girl must give 3 in their place. Speak the names, a man will do the rest. So that's a quote from him. And so what he is saying, like, hey, you shouldn't have saved us. The Red God, so is he a lore follower? We don't know, right? Probably not, because many faiths God follower, but maybe the character, the what he's pretending to be, Jaqen H'ghar, who he's pretending to be from Lorath, maybe he's a Red God follower, right? And he goes, the Red God needs 3 names. So give me 3 names. And because you saved 3 people, right? So, after listening to Cheswick tell a horrible story that I won't talk about, I'm moving right past. Let's just say she overhears Cheswick talking, and because of what he was saying, she thinks he deserves death, and so do I. I'm not going to talk about the story because it makes my stomach turn. Okay. Arya gives Cheswick's name to Jaqen. 3 days later, Arya learns that Cheswick has broken his neck after falling from a wall walk. Though some are saying the ghost, Heron's ghost, flung him down, and Arya thinks that she is the ghost of Harrenhal, and that one less name on her list. Later on, Weiss, the understeward of the Whaling Tower, slaps and beats Weasel. That's her. Well, right, yeah. And then Jaqen rests in the Harrenhal bathhouse, she walks up to him and whistles, and whispers Weasel's name. So yeah, so now she's now decided a second name, right? Or Weiss's name. Sorry, there's Weiss and Weasel. It's confusing. The next day, Arya regrets her choice while watching Tywin depart from Harrenhal and his army. She's like, oh, I should have named Tywin. What am I thinking? Arya rushes to find Jaqen to change her second name, but she discovers Weiss's throat has already been torn out by his spotted dog. Yeah, Weiss had a dog. What I got? Amabel attributes Weiss's death to the ghost of Harrenhal as well. Harren's ghost. When Arya lifts her gaze, she sees Jaqen in the battlements looking down at her, who casually lays 2 fingers across his cheek. That's 2. I killed 2 for you now. Jaqen H'ghar. Or whatever he does, right? Okay. The brave companions bring in captured Northmen. Bring in captured Northmen and Riverland, including Robert Glover. Jaqen finds Arya in the Godswood of Harrenhal and asks her to find for the 3rd name. After he refuses to aid Arya in freeing captives, she's like, no, I don't want a 3rd name. I want you to free the Northmen. Arya whispers his own name. She's like, all right, fine, Jaqen H'ghar. Why don't you kill that person? Yo. Arya promises to unsay his name only if he helps her free the Northmen. So Jaqen sends the girl to the kitchen to have hot broth prepared. Rourge and Biter then help Jaqen and Arya bring 4 kettles to the dungeon. 8 of Amory's guardsmen, prepare to eat the broth, but the sellswords then throw the scalding broth in the faces and begin killing them and take out all the guards. One guard draws his sword, but Jaqen duels him with his own sword and stabs the man in the heart. When Robert asks him if the three men are brave companions, Rorge replies affirmatively. Yeah. So this is like all I just did the Robert Glover video, but Robert knew the brave companions were going to then do a coup and bring in the Northmen, right? So the fact that she has Jaqen do it, he just assumes Jaqen and them are brave companions and they're just doing it for them. Like, they're part of it. No one realizes that Arya was trying to do it. And all that being said, that means Arya pretty much wastes all three of her names, right? She doesn't get any one, like Chestwick is a piece of crap. We speed her up. I understand that. And then the third one is help free Northmen that were about to be freed. So kind of a waste of three names, which is unfortunate. That's it. Yeah, that's it. The coin. Rorge and Biter go help the freed Northmen and everybody else and the brave companions with the fall of Harrenhal. But Jaqen remains by Arya's side. She takes back his names, like, all right, you no longer have to kill Jaqen H'ghar, and asks if she still has a third death to request. But Jaqen reminds her of the various men that he already helped kill on her behalf. Jaqen informs her that it's time for him to, quote, die, passing his hand down his face and it changing his appearance. So unlike in the show where he like looks away and looks back, no, this is like right in front of her. This is close-up magic, you know? Jaqen's cheeks become fuller, his eyes closer together, and his nose is hook nose like a kettle black. There's a theory there somewhere. And a scar appears on his right cheek. Jaqen's long red hair is changed into a cap of tight black curls. He also now has shiny golden tooth. When Arya requests that he teach her how to do that, Jaqen tells her that she must come with him across the narrow sea. When she admits she cannot go, Jaqen gives Arya a small iron coin, claiming that it has great value. He promises that should she ever wish to find him again, she should give the coin to any man from Braavos and tell them at Vala Morghulis. He then departs Harrenhal during the fighting, and Vargo's brave companions turn the castle over to Roose Bolton. So, yeah, there we go. Like I said, it's a little different. We'll get to the differences, but yeah, that's him giving the coin, switching his face, and bouncing. But she doesn't go see him in the House of Black and White. That's show stuff. What happens now? Well, she does go to the House of Black and White, and then we got some alchemist stuff to talk about. So, seeking passage from Harrenhal, Arya shows the iron coin to Teres, the captain of the Braavosi ship, the Titan's Daughter. When Arya says Vala Morghulis, he replies Vala Daharis and agrees to transport her to Salt Pans. When Arya from Salt Pans to Braavos. When Arya arrives at the House of Black and White in Braavos, she offers the iron coin to the kindly man, who says that he does not know Jaqen's name. After eating a worm from the kindly man's face or something, his skull face, it gets weird. Arya is allowed to serve at the temple, but the kindly man continues to not recognize Jaqen's name, though he eventually tells her about the origins of the Faceless Men. That's it. So we never meet Jaqen there. The kindly man never turns into Jaqen. None of that stuff. And pretty much her entire time there, no one knows who Jaqen is. So yeah. They all claim that. A man claiming to be an alchemist, whose appearance matches that of the appearance of Jaqen's new face, right? So we get this description of this alchemist, and it's word for word the same as the face that Jaqen turns into. He approaches Pate, a novice at the Citadel in Oldtown, also a a POV character of is it an epilogue? I think it's an epilogue. Or is it a prologue? It's an epilogue, right? I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's a prologue. Yeah, it's a prologue. And alchemist, it says, I can change iron. Yeah, the alchemist says, I can change iron into gold. So, yeah, it's like, well, who are you? And he goes, I'm an alchemist because I can change iron into gold. It's a joke. So he's not really an alchemist. He's just saying, you give me an iron key, and I'm going to give you gold for it. So let's call me an alchemist. But he gets the name the alchemist because of that joke. In exchange for Archmaester Walgrave's key, because of Archmaester Walgrave's key is supposed to be capable of opening any door in the Citadel, such as the locked vaults containing rare Valyrian scrolls and other things. They make the exchange, so him and Pate make the exchange of gold for iron at the Quill and Tankard, but Pate dies after biting the coin. So you know how like you get a gold coin and people like bite it? He poisoned the coin, so then he dies. So the alchemist then, gives him a poisonous coin, killing Pate, right? And then when Samwell Tarly later arrives in the Citadel, he is welcomed by a novice who introduces himself as Pate. And it's not confirmed, of course, because Samwell doesn't know it, but we are to assume that it's Jaqen who is now wearing the face of Pate. So Jaqen pretends to be this alchemist to pay for a key that can get into any door. And then afterwards, he just straight up ices Pate and then becomes Pate. Now he's walking around the Citadel. We don't know why, with a freaking key that can open up any door. Whoa! What is he doing? Yeah, that's the biggest question is what is Book Jaqen up to? It's got to be some crazy stuff. All right, there you guys go. Let's do the differences and some theories. Differences and theories. This was a request from my wife. Thank you, wife. First thing, he doesn't have the whole half white and half red hair thing, which is kind of lame, but whatever. It starts off pretty close. With the Jaqen being in a cage with Roach and Biter. The fire isn't in a barn during the show. The Harrenhal stuff is kind of close. He never wakes her up to chat though. Like he doesn't go and wake her up to get to chat, and like really small stuff like that. And also in the show, he kills Tickler and Amory Lorch instead of Cheswick and Weiss. So those names are different. He straight up kills Amory Lorch and Tickler in the show. So two very different names, or four different names, right? Two different sets of names. In the show, she asks him to kill Tywin Lannister, or at least just hints at it, before naming Jaqen himself. In the show, he helps her escape, but not to free Northmen. That's different. In order to be unnamed. So when she's like, all right, well, what if I exchange my last name for blank? In the show is, why don't you help me escape? In the book, it's why don't you help the Northmen escape? And then she stays there for a little while and actually works under Roose Bolton. Where was I? Oh, and the biggest is them giving him pretty much the entire role of the kindly man in the House of Black and White. He, of course, never shows up there in the book. He is instead in the Citadel being the alchemist and most likely now being Pate. So, yeah, some pretty major differences. I don't know why they decided to make the kindly man just be there for a second and then him turn into Jaqen. Is it just because they wanted to bring Jaqen back in or whatever, but they also claim that that's not Jaqen or whatever. So that's weird. And then, of course, because they're not really, the show didn't really do later book stuff. They're just not doing Citadel stuff, right? They're not doing him at the Citadel. So yeah, let's do theories and then we're getting out of here. So some theories that they're one that he is actually Serial Pharrell. I'm not sure where I heard this for the first time. I know In Deep Geek has a video on it. I don't think it was there I first heard it, but I've heard it for a while. I asked you guys, right, my YouTube channel, in a poll sometime back, and most said probably not, and then the second place was absolutely not, and then maybe and 100% yes, those were lower, right? So it went probably not, then absolutely not, then maybe, then yes. So yeah, more people than not, absolutely more people think that that Jaqen and Cyril Farrell are not the same person. So moving on. And I agree. In Deep Geek has yet another cool video. Has a pretty cool video called "Why Was Jaqen H'ghar in King's Landing?" So this is a fantastic vid, and I highly suggest it. And I will leave a link in the description. It speculates why he was in the Black Cells, and that he was maybe hired by Littlefinger to kill Ned or something. Yeah, I'm not doing it justice. Go watch it. It's a really good vid. Yeah, and then I suggest you check that out if you're interested. There is also a classic Alt-Shift-X video called Faceless Men, Who is Jaqen H'ghar? And I also suggest you watch that one. There is also much speculation on what he is doing in the Citadel in that video, and why does he want the key for Mulgrave's strongbox. He might want a book or a scroll about how to kill dragons. That's what Alt-Shift-X speculates. I have heard this. I heard this first in the Alt-Shift-X vid, but it has been around, so I don't know who to credit it to. But yeah, I think if you guys are looking to dive more into Jaqen H'ghar, I will post the Alt-Shift-X vid, and one of the In Deep Geeks, I'll put the In Deep Geek, what is Jaqen H'ghar doing in there. Unless you're actually really interested in the Is Jaqen serial, but I'm not going to put a link for that one. But I will put In Deep Geek's link in for what was he doing in the Red Keep, and I'll put one in for Alt-Shift-X's just kind of blanket Jaqen H'ghar video. There you guys go. Thank you to my wife for requesting a video. This is super cool. I hope she watches it. And thank you guys for watching. I'll be sure to put both of the links in the description. And yeah, that's all I got. Peace.